Balak. And Balak bar Zippor saw what Israel had done to the Amori. And the Moabite feared before the people greatly, because they were many, and they were distressed in the life before the sons of Israel. And they said to the elders of the Midianite, for the people had been one and the kingdom one unto that day, now will this congregation consume all that is about them, as the ox eateth up the grass of the field. And Balak bar Zippor, a Midianite, was the king of Moab at that time, without a Midianite being such at another time, for so was the tradition among them, to have kings from this people and from that by turns. And he sent unto Laban the Aramite, who was Bileam called, because he it was who sought Beluva to swallow up Ammah, the people of the house of Israel, the son of Beor, who was insane, one from the vastness of his knowledge, and would not spare Israel, the descendants of his sons and daughters. And the house of his habitation in Paddan was at Pethor, a name signifying an interpreter of dreams. It was built in Aram upon the Frat, in a land where the children of the people worshipped and adored him. To him did Balak send to call him, saying, Behold, a people hath come out of Mizraim, and, lo, they cover the face of the earth, and are encamped over against me. But now I entreat, come, curse this people for me, for they are stronger than I, if I may but be able to meet them, though smaller than they, and drive them from the land. For why know that he whom thou dost bless is blessed, and he whom thou dost curse is cursed? And the elders of Moab and of Midian went with the price of divination sealed up in their hands, and came to Bileam, and told him the words of Balak, Jerusalem. And the sages of the Moabites and of the Midianites went with sealed letters in the hands, and came to Bileam, and spake with him the words of Balak. And he said to them, Abide here tonight, and I will return you word as the Lord shall speak with me. And the princes of Moab stayed with Bileam. And the word from before the Lord came to Bileam, and he said, What men are these who are now lodging with thee? And Bileam said before the Lord, Balak bar Zippor, king of the Moabite, hath sent messengers to me, saying, Behold, a people hath come out of Mizraim, and cover the face of the land. Now therefore come, curse them for me, so that I may be able to fight and drive them away. And the Lord said unto Bileam, Thou shalt not go with them, nor curse the people, for they are blessed of me from the day of the fathers. And Bileam rose up early, and said to the princes of Moab, Go unto your country, for it is not pleasing before the Lord to permit me to journey with you. And the princes of Moab arose and came to Balak, and said, Bileam hath refused to come with us. But Balak added to send other princes more and nobler than they, and they came to Bileam, and said to him, Thus saith Balak bar Zippor, Let not anything hinder thee from coming to me, for honouring I will honour thee greatly, and whatever thou biddest me I will do. Come therefore now, and curse this people for me. And Bileam answered the servants of Balak, and said, If Balak would give me out of his treasury a house full of silver and gold, I have no power to transgress the decree of the word of the Lord my God, to fabricate a word either small or great. But I entreat you to remain here this night also, that I may know what the word of the Lord may yet speak with me. And the word came from before the Lord to Bileam in the night, and said to him, If these men come to call thee, arise, go with them, only the word that I will speak with thee, that shalt thou do. And Bileam arose in the morning, and saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab, Jerusalem. And Bileam arose in the morning, and made ready his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. But the anger of the Lord was provoked, because he would go, that he might curse them. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way to be an adversary to him. But he sat upon his ass, and his 2 young men, Jan and Jambres, were with him. And the ass discerned the angel of the Lord standing in the way with a drawn sword in his hand, and the ass turned aside out of the road, to go into the field. And Bileam smote the ass to make her return into the way. And the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path that was in the midst between vineyards, Jerusalem. And the angel of the Lord stood between the vineyards, a hedge, being on this and on that side, in the place where Jacob and Laban raised the mount, the pillar on this side, and the observatory on that side, 3, which they raised, that neither should pass the limit to do evil to the other. And the ass discerned the angel of the Lord, and thrust herself against the hedge, and bruised Bilam's foot by the hedge, and he smote her again, for the angel was invisible to him. And the angel of the Lord yet passed on, and stood in a distant place, where there was no way to turn either to the right or left. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord, and fell under Bilam, and Bilam's wrath was strong, so that he smote the ass with his staff. 10 things were created after the world had been founded at the coming in of the Sabbath between the suns: the manna, the well, the rod of Moshe, the diamond, the rainbow, the cloud of glory, the mouth of the earth, the writing of the tables of the covenant, the demons, and the speaking ass. And in the tower the word of the Lord opened her mouth, and fitted her to speak. And she said to Bilam, What have I done to thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? And Bilam said to the ass, Because thou hast been false to me, if there was now but a sword in hand, I would kill thee. And the ass said to Bilam, Woe to thee, Bilam, thou wanting in mind when me, an unclean beast, who am to die in this world, and not to enter the world to come. Thou art not able to curse, how much less canst thou harm the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, on account of whom the world hath been created, but whom thou art going to curse. So hast thou deceived these people, and hast said, This is not my ass, she is alone in my hand, and my horses remain in the pasture. But am I not thine ass, upon whom thou hast ridden from thy youth unto this day? And have I been used to do thus with thee? And he said, No, Jerusalem. And the ass said to Bilam, Woe to thee, Bilam the wicked, wanting in understanding and wisdom. Behold, me, an unclean beast, who am to die in this world, and not to enter the world to come. Thou hast not power with all thy skill to curse, how much less the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, on whose account the world was created at the beginning. And why art thou going to curse them? For thou hast deceived the people, saying to them, This is not my ass, she is alone in my hand. But am I not thy ass, upon whom thou hast ridden from thy youth unto this day? Did I indeed intend to do thus with thee? And he said to her, No. And the Lord unveiled the eyes of Bilam, and he beheld the angel of the Lord standing in the way, his sword unsheathed in his hand, and he bowed, and worshipped on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, Why hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to withstand thee. And the ass, fearing, saw, and turned from the way. It is known before me that thou seekest to go to curse the people, a thing that is not pleasing to me. But the ass discerned me, and turned away from me these 3 times. Had she not turned from me, surely now I should have slain thee, and spared her alive. And Bilam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, because I knew not that thou wast standing against me in the way. But now, if it displease thee, I will go back. But the angel of the Lord said to Bilam, Go with these men, but the word that I will tell thee that thou shalt speak. And Bilam went with the princes of Balak. And Balak heard that Bilam was coming, and came out to meet him at a city of Moab on the border of Arnon, which is on the side of the frontier. And Balak said to Bilam, Did I not send to call thee? Why camest thou not to me? Didst thou not indeed say that I could not do thee honour? And Bilam said to Balak, Behold, I have come to thee, yet now am I able to say anything to thee. But the word that the Lord shall ordain for my mouth, that I must speak. And Bilam went with Balak, and they came to a city surrounded with walls, to the streets of the great city, the city of Sihon, which is Beersheba. And Balak slew oxen and sheep, and sent to Bilam and the princes and those who were with them. And at the time of the morning Balak took Bilam, and brought him up to the high place of the idol Peor, and besaw from thence the camp of Dan, which went at the rear of the people, and they were discovered under the cloud of glory. 23. And Bilam, as he looked upon them, knew that strange worship was among them, and rejoiced in his heart. And he said to Balak, Build here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 bullocks and 7 rams. And Balak did as Bilam had said, and Balak and Bilam offered a bullock and a ram upon an altar. And Bilam said to Balak, Stand by thy burnt offering, and I will go, if peradventure the word of the Lord may come to meet me, and the word that shall be discovered to me, that I will declare to thee. And he went bending as a serpent. Jerusalem. And Bilam went with a humbled heart. And the word from before the Lord met with Bilam, who said before him, The 7 altars I have set in order, and have offered a bullock and a ram upon every altar. And the Lord put a word in Bilam's mouth, and said, Return to Balak, and thus speak. And he returned to him, and behold, he was standing by his burnt offering, he and all the nobles of Moab. And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, From Aram on Euphrates hath Balak king of the Moab brought me, for the mountains of the east come, curse for me the house of Jacob, come, for me make Israel small. Jerusalem. And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Balak the king of the Moab hath brought me from Aram, for the mountains of the east. Come, curse for me the house of Jacob, come, diminish for me the tribes of the house of Israel. How shall I curse, while the word of the Lord blesseth them? And whom shall I diminish, when the word of the Lord increaseth them? For, said Bilam the wicked, I look on this people who are led on for the sake of the righteous fathers, who are like the mountains, and of the mothers, who are like the hills. Behold, this people alone are to possess the world, because they are not led by the laws of the nations. And when Bilam the sinner beheld the house of Israel, a circumcised people hidden in the dust of the desert, he said, Who can number the merits of these strong ones, or count the good works of one of the 4 camps of Israel? Bilam the wicked said, If the house of Israel kill me with the sword, then it is made known to me, I shall have no portion in the world to come. Nevertheless, if I may but die the death of the true, oh, that my last end may be as the least among them. Jerusalem. Wherewith shall I curse the house of Jacob, when the word of the Lord blesseth them? And how shall I diminish the house of Israel, when the word of the Lord doth multiply them? I see this people, who are conducted through the merit of the righteous fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are like the mountains, and of the 4 mothers, Sarah, Rivkah, Rahel, and Leah. Behold, this people shall dwell alone, and not be mixed with the laws of the Gentiles. Who can number the youth of the house of Jacob, of whom it is said, They are to be like the stars of the skies? Bilam the wicked said in the parable of his prophecy, If Israel do kill him with the sword, Bilam himself declared that he hath no portion in the world to come. But if Bilam may die as the faithful die, may his last end be as one of the least among them. And Balak said to Bilam, What hast thou done to me? I brought thee to curse my enemies, and behold, blessing, thou hast blessed them. But he answered and said, That which the Lord hath put in my mouth shall I not be careful to speak. And Balak said to him, Come now with me where thou mayest see him from another place. Thou shalt see only the camp that goeth in his rear, but not all the camps, and curse him for me there. And he brought him to the field of the observatory on the top of the hill, and builded 7 altars, and offered a bullock and a ram on every altar. And he said to Balak, Stand thou here by thy burnt offering, and I will meet him yonder. And the word from before the Lord met Bilam, and put a word in his mouth, and said, Return to Balak, and thus speak. And he came to him, and behold, he was standing by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab with him. And Balak said to him, What hath the Lord spoken? And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Arise, Balak, and hear, listen to my words, Bar-Zippah. The word of the living God is not as the words of men, for the Lord, the ruler of all worlds, is the unchangeable, but man speaketh and denieth. Neither are his works like the works of the children of flesh, who consult, and then repent them of what they had decreed. But when the Lord of all worlds hath said, I will multiply this people as the stars of the heavens, and will give them to possess the land of the Canaanites, is he not able to perform what he hath spoken? And what he hath said, can he not confirm it? Behold, for the mouth of the holy word I have received the benediction, and their appointed benediction I cannot restrain from them. Jerusaleal 15. And I with my word will honor thee. 19. Not as the word of the sons of men is thee, or of the living God, nor of the works of God as the works of men. Men say, and not they decree, but do not confirm, but God saith and performeth. He maketh decree and confirmeth it, and his decrees are established forever. Behold, I have received to bless Israel, and I cannot restrain the blessings from them. Bilim the wicked said, I see not among them of the house of Jacob such as worship idols. They who serve false idols are not established among the tribes of the sons of Israel. The word of the Lord the God is the help, and the trumpets of the king Mashiach resound among them. And to Eloah, who redeemed and led them out of Mizraim free, belong power and exaltation, glorification and greatness. They of the house of Jacob who use divination are not established, nor the enchanters who enchant among the greatness multitudes of Israel. At this time it is said to the house of Jacob and Israel, how glorious are the miracles and wonder-works which God hath wrought. This people reposeth alone, and dwelleth strong as a lion, and rearth himself as an old lion. They sleep not till with great slaughter they have slain their adversaries, and taken the spoils of the slain. Jerusalem. I have not seen the worshippers of Baalah, nor those who offer strange service among the tribes of the sons of Israel. The word of the Lord is with them, and the trumpet of the glorious King protecteth them. And to God who redeemed and brought them out from Mizraim free, belong power and praise and exaltation. For wise ye not those who perform divination in the house of Jacob, nor them who enchant with aboundments among the tribes of Israel. At this time it is said to Jacob, what bounties and comforts are prepared of the Lord to bestow upon you of the house of Jacob. Then said he in the parable of his prophecy, O happy saints, how goodly is the reward prepared for you by your Father in heaven in the world to come. Behold, these people dwell as a lion. Like the strong lion, as the lion resteth not, nor is quiet, until he hath taken and eaten flesh and drunk up blood. So this people will rest not, nor be in quiet, till they have slain their enemies, and have shed the blood of their slaughtered foes like water. And Balak said to Bilim, neither curse them nor bless them. But Bilim answered and said to Balak, did I not tell thee at the beginning, whatsoever the Lord speaketh, that must I do? And Balak said to Bilim, come, and I will now take thee to another place, if so be it may be pleasing before the Lord, that thou mayest curse him for me from thence. And Balak led Bilim to the high place of the prospect which looketh toward Beth-Jeshimoth. And Bilim said to Balak, erect here for me 7 altars, and prepare me 7 bullocks and 7 rams. And Balak did as Bilim had said, and offered a bullock and a ram upon every altar. 24. And Bilim, seeing that it was good before the Lord to bless Israel, went not as once and again before in quest of divinations, but set his face toward the wilderness, to recall to memory the work of the calf which they had there committed. And Bilim lifted up his eyes, but beheld Israel dwelling together by the tribes in the schools, and saw that their doors were arranged so as not to overlook the doors of the companions. And the spirit of prophecy from before the Lord rested upon him. Jerusalem. And Bilim saw that it was pleasing before the Lord to bless Israel, so that he went not, as he had gone from time to time, to seek for divinations, or to provide enchantments, but went and set his face toward the wilderness to recall to memory the work of the calf. Still being desirous to curse Israel, but he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Bilim, son of Beor, speaketh the man speaketh who is more honorable than his father. Because the dark mysteries hidden from the prophets have been revealed to him, and who, because he was not circumcised, fell upon his face when the angel stood over against him. He hath said, who heard the word from before the living God, who beheld the vision before God the Almighty. And, seeking that it might be discovered to him, fell upon his face, and the secret mysteries hidden from the prophets were revealed to him. How beautiful your houses of instruction! In the tabernacle where Jacob your father ministered, and how beautiful this tabernacle of ordinance which is found among you, and the tents that surround it, O house of Israel. As tides of waters, so are the house of Israel, dwelling like flocks made strong by the doctrine of the law, and as gardens planted by the flowing streams, so are the disciples in the fellowships of the schools. The light of the faces shineth as the brightness of the firmament which the Lord created on the 2nd day of the creation of the world, and outspread for the glory of the Shekinah. They are exalted and lifted up above all the nations, like cedars of Lebanon planted by fountains of waters. For them the king shall arise, and the Redeemer be of them and among them, and the seed of the children of Jacob shall rule over many nations. The first who will reign over them will make war with the house of Amalek, and will be exalted above Agag the king, but because he had spared him his kingdom will be taken from him. And to Eloah, who brought them out free from Mizraim, belong might and exaltation and glory and power. He will destroy the nations of their adversaries, and break down the strength, and will send forth the plague arrows of his vengeance among them, and destroy them. They shall repose and dwell as a lion, and as an old lion, that sleeping who will dare to awake. They who bless them are blessed as Moshe the prophet, the scribe of Israel, and they who curse them are accursed as Bileam son of Beor. And Balak's wrath grew strong against Bileam, and smiting his hands, Balak said to Bileam, I brought thee to curse my enemies, and behold, in blessing thou hast blessed them these 3 times. Jerusalem. 3. And he took up in parable his prophecy, and said, Bileam the son of Beor saith, the man saith who is more honourable than his father. For what hath been hidden from all prophets is revealed to him, the man saith who heard the word from before the Lord, and who saw the vision before the Almighty, when, inquiring, prostrate on his face, the mysteries of prophecy were disclosed to him, and of himself he did prophesy that he shall fall by the sword, a prophecy to be confirmed at the end. How goodly were the tabernacles in which Jacob the father did pray, and the tabernacle of ordinance which you have made to my name, and your own tabernacles, O house of Israel. His torrents that prevail. So shall Israel overpower their adversaries, and as gardens planted by fountains of water, so shall be the cities, giving forth scribes and teachers of the law, and as the heavens which the memorah of the Lord spread forth for the dwelling of his Shekinah. So shall Israel live, and endure unto eternity, beautiful and renowned as cedars by the waters which grow up oil high. The king will arise from among the children, and the Redeemer will be of them and among them, and he will gather the captives from the cities of their adversaries, and the children shall have rule among the peoples. And the kingdom of the king Messiah shall be made great. Stronger is he than Shaul, who vanquished Agag the killer of the Amalekah. And to God who redeemed and brought them out free from the land of Mizraim belong power and praise and exaltation. The sons of Israel will prevail over their enemies, will divide their cities, slay the heroes, and disperse the residue. Behold, these people will dwell as a lion, and be as the strong lions. He who blesseth you, O Israel, shall be blessed as Moshe the prophet, the scribe of Israel, and he who curseth you be accursed as Bileam the son of Beor. And Balak's anger grew strong against Bileam, and Balak smote his hands, and said to Bileam, I brought thee to curse my enemies, and thou hast only blessed, and now flee to thy place. I had said that honouring I would honour thee, but, behold, the Lord hath kept back Bileam from honour. But Bileam said to Balak, Did I not tell thy messengers whom thou sentest to me, saying, If Balak would give me the fullness of his treasures of silver and gold, I have no power to transgress the decree of the word of the Lord to good or evil of my own will. What the Lord saith shall I not speak. And now, behold, I return to go to my people. Come, I will give thee counsel. Go, furnish tavern houses, and employ seductive women to sell food and drinks cheaply, and to bring this people together to eat and drink, and commit whoredom with them, that they may deny their God. Then in a brief time will they be delivered into thy hand, and many of them fall. Nevertheless, after this they will still have dominion over thy people at the end of the days. And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Bileam the son of Beor speaketh, the man speaketh who is more honourable than his father. Because the mysteries hidden from prophets have been revealed to him, he speaketh who heard the word from before the Lord, and who knoweth the hour when the Most High God will be wroth with him. He speaketh who saw the vision before the Almighty, seeking prostrate on his face, that it should be revealed to him. The secret, concealed from the prophets, was disclosed unto him. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but it is not near. When the mighty king of Jacob's house shall reign, and the Messiah, the power scepter of Israel, Be anointed, he will slay the princes of the Moabite, and bring to nothing all the children of Sheth, the armies of Gog, who will do battle against Israel, and all the carcasses shall fall before him. And the Edomi will be utterly driven out, even the sons of Gabbalah from before Israel the foes, and Israel will be strengthened with the riches and possess them. And a prince of the house of Jacob will arise and destroy and consume the remnant that have escaped from Constantine the guilty city, and will lay waste and ruin the rebellious city, even Kaiser and the strong city of the Gentiles. And he looked on the house of Amalek, and took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, The first of the nations who made war with the house of Israel were those of the house of Amalek, and they at last, in the days of the king Meshiah, with all the children of the east, will make war against Israel, but all of them together will have eternal destruction in their end. And he looked upon Jethro, who had been made proselyte, and took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, How strong is thy habitation, who hast set thy dwelling in the clefts of the rocks? Yet so is it decreed that the children of the Shammah must be despoiled, but not until Sennacherib the king of Athor shall come and make thee captive. Jerusalem. And now, behold, I go to my people. Come now, I will counsel thee how thou art to act with this people. Lead them into sin, for else thou canst have power against them to prevail over thy people at the end of the days. And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Bileam the son of Beor Seth, the man who is more honorable than his father Seth, for what hath been hid from all the prophets is revealed unto me. The man speaketh who heard the word from before the Lord, and learned knowledge from the Most High, who saw the vision in the presence of the Almighty, seeking prostrate on his face when the visions of prophecy were disclosed to him, and he was made to foreknow of himself that he will fall by the sword, but that his prophecy will be confirmed. I shall see him, but not now, I shall behold him, but he is not nigh. A king is to arise from the house of Jacob, and a redeemer and ruler from the house of Israel, who will slay the strong ones of the Moabite, and bring to nothing and consume all the children of the east. And Edom may inherit Mount Gabbalah from their enemies, but Israel will be stronger with a mighty host. A king will arise from the house of Jacob, and destroy what shall remain of the strong city. And he beheld the Amalekah, and took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, The house of Amalek was the first of the peoples to make war with Israel. And at last in the end of the days they will array battle against them, but their end is to perish, and the destruction to be forever. And when he looked upon the Shammah, taking up the parable of his prophecy, he said, How strong is thy abode, who hast set the house of thy dwelling in the clefts of the rock? But the Shammah will not be spoiled, until Assyria shall arise, and take thee captive. And he took up the parable of his prophecy, and said, Woe to them who are alive at the time when the word of the Lord shall be revealed, to give the good reward to the righteous, and to take vengeance on the wicked, to smite the nations and the kings, and bring these things upon them. And ships, lit, sails, armed for war will come forth with Ariat armies from Lombardia, and from the land of Italia. 4. Conjoined with the legions that will come forth from Constantina, and will afflict the Athori, and bring into captivity all the sons of Abba. 5. Nevertheless the end of these and of those is to fall by the hand of the king Meshiah, and be brought to everlasting destruction. Jerusalem. Woe to him who is alive when the word of the Lord setteth himself to give the good reward to the just, and to take vengeance on the wicked. And great hosts in Livonia will come from the great city, and will conjoin with the many legions of the Romeri, and subjugate Assyria, and afflict all the children beyond the river. Nevertheless the end of these and of those is to perish, and the destruction to be everlasting. And Bileam rose up and went to return to his place, and Balak also. And Bileam rose up and went to return to his place. And Balak also went upon his way, and appointed the daughters of the Midianites for the tavern booths at Beth Jeshimob, by the snow mountain, where they sold sweetmeats cheaper than the price, after the counsel of Bileam the wicked, at the dividing of the way. 25. And Israel dwelt in the place which is called Shittim, on account of the Shittah, foolishness, 6, and depravity which were among them. And the people began to profane the holiness, and to strip their bodies to the image of Peor, and commit fornication with the daughters of the Moabites, who brought out the image of Peor concealed under the bundles. And they invited the people to the sacrifices of their idols, and the people ate in the feasts, and bowed themselves to their idols. And the people of the house of Israel joined themselves to Baal-Peor, like the nail in the wood, which is not separated but by breaking up the wood, or with the splinters. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And the Lord said to Moshe, Take all the chiefs of the people, and appoint them for judges, and let them give judgment to put to death the people who have gone astray after Peor, and hang them before the word of the Lord upon the wood over against the morning sun. And at the departure of the sun take them down and bury them, and turn away the strong anger of the Lord from Israel. And Moshe said to the judges of Israel, Slay every one a man of his tribe of those who have joined themselves to the idol of Peor, Jerusalem. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit fornication with the daughters of the Moabites. And they invited the people to the sacrifices of their idols. And Israel were united with the worshippers of the idol of Peor, and the anger of the Lord was strong against Israel. And the word of the Lord said to Moshe, Take all the chiefs of the people, and set them for a Sanhedrin before the Lord. And let them hang all who are worthy of death, and at sunset take down the bodies and bury them, that so may be averted the strong anger of the Lord from Israel. And Moshe said to the princes of Israel, Slay each one a man of his house of them who have joined themselves to the idol of Peor. And behold, a man of the sons of Israel came holding a Midianitess, and brought her to his brethren in the sight of Moshe and all the congregation of the children of Israel. He answered and said to Moshe, What is it that is wrong to have company with her? If thou sayest, It is forbidden, didst thou not first take a Midianitess, the daughter of Jethro? When Moshe heard, he trembled and swooned. But they wept and cried, Listen. And they stood at the door of the tabernacle of ordinance. And Phinehas bar Eleazar bar Aharon the priest saw, and remembering the ordination, answered and said, He who ought to kill, let him kill. Where are the lions of the tribe of Jehudah? When they saw, they were quiet. And he arose from among his Sanhedrin, and took a lance in his hand. Jerusalem. And, behold, a man of the sons of Israel came and brought to his brethren a Midianitha before Moshe and all the congregation of the children of Israel, and behold, they were weeping at the door of the tabernacle. And Phinehas bar Eleazar bar Aharon the high priest saw, and arose from among the assembly, and took a lance. 12 miracles were wrought for Phinehas at the time that he went in after the man of Israel with the Midianitha. The first sign was, he would have parted them but could not. 2. The mouth was closed, that they could not cry out, for had they cried out, they would have been rescued. 3. He drave the lance through both of them. 4. The lance remained fixed in the wound. 5. When he bare them aloft, the lintel was uplifted for him until he had gone forth. 6. He carried them through the whole camp, 6 miles, without fatigue. 7. He held them up by his right arm in sight of the kindred who had no power to hurt him. 8. The lance was made strong so as not to be broken with the load. 9. The iron transpierced them, but was not withdrawn. 10. An angel came and made bare the corpses in sight of the people. 11. They lingered alive till they had been carried through the entire camp, lest the priest in the tabernacle should be defiled by the dead. 12. The blood thickened so as not to flow upon him, but when he had borne them through the camp, it brake forth, and they died. Answering, he said before the Lord of the world, Can it be that, on account of these 24,000 of Israel shall die? Immediately the compassions of heaven were moved, and the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. Jerusalem. And he went in after the man of Israel into the tent, and thrust both of them, the man and the woman, through the body, and the plague was stayed from the children of Israel, and the number who died by the pestilence was 24,000. Jerusalem. And those who died by the plague were 24,000.